Katie! Katie!
Go on, Daddy.
Come on, come on, come on.
Really
come
high.
Come on, come on.
Wow.
I think the whole thing's a mess, myself. And I got the job because I started the project with a friend of mine called Michelle Parry, who wrote the original script, which was rewritten 400 times, as you can imagine. But I really owe the setting up of the film to an American expatriate living in London called Mark FORSTATER, who, you know, really got me the job, you know, got me the gig, and to Bob SHAYE of New Line, and between Bob SHAYE of New Line and Mark FORSTATER and his troops, they put the money together, and we created the fabulous work of art, which is today the dreaded XTRO. So I went to New York for about 2 months or something. I went out there for a while and worked on the script. Spent most of the time stoned in New Line's offices somewhere horrible near Union Square, full of hookers and people, and it was just dreadful. But no, Bob and the people, they were really on top of it, yeah. And Bob came over to sort of disturb us while we were shooting it for a few days, you know. I directed one film before, a very small film. Well, XTRO's a very small film too, you know. No, I felt fine about it, you know. All nice people, all, you know, working away, trying to make our little movie, you know. How was it? Of course, you know, these things never turn out as you expect them to.
What is it? What's the matter?
Of course, we didn't get a lot of things that we were supposed to get, and a lot of linking material isn't there, and I think it was always a bit of a mess, because someone would have an idea, well, why don't we have a clown show up? Oh, all right, let's have a clown, you know. Oh, well, tell you what, let's have a caterpillar or a snake or something. Oh, good idea. And Bob SHAYE wanted very, very much to have Bob SHAYE of New Line, very much, it was a deal breaker. He wanted to have the Black Panther in it. So you've got to have something really wacky, something off the wall, something really weird happens, you know, after such and such a scene. How about a panther, a Black Panther? You know how people get obsessed with something, you can't knock them off, you know. So, okay, we had to have this damn panther. I remember it cost a fortune. And this is a very quick shot of it. And I don't know why it's there. There's no logic to it at all. But I don't know, maybe that's what some people have liked about the film, is that it is such an extraordinary mess.
And where did that blood come from?
I don't know.
The idea of the film was to do the most disgusting things that we could possibly get away with. And if I'd had it my way, they would have been more disgusting. At the time, they were considered pretty horrible. You know, now I don't think they are, really. So I remember there was a kind of spectacular business, we thought it was rather spectacular, of this fully grown guy being born out of some poor unfortunate actress. That was messy, yeah. And we were accused of being misogynistic and things, which we weren't. I mean, everybody's dying and being decapitated and torn to pieces all over the place, so I didn't see it as misogynistic. And I read sort of learned articles about this thing, you know, there's always people piling into the internet, writing these things. Some of them, of course, trash it, I mean, rightly, you know. And there are others who are seeking these things, with trying to dig out stuff which just isn't there. We were young fools, and we just wanted to shock people, you know. It was not, there's nothing to it at all. It's rubbish. I wanted to do the score, and I did it. And it's full of whining synthesizers all the way through. That's all I remember. That's all I remember. I was trained as a classical pianist. But this was not my finest hour. Yes, I would have been much more worthy person if I'd stayed in classical music. Yeah, but it's pretty awful too. Everything about this film is pretty dreadful. You know, it's pretty reprehensible. I mean, the way the whole thing was put together is very cynical. You know, except we were all, you know, dying to make a movie. You know how it is. It's in the times when I actually enjoyed the idea of making movies. Of course, the minute you've done a few films, you realise what a horrible experience it is, and you try to avoid it. But then, by the time you've done a few films, unfortunately, you're trapped because it's the only thing that you know how to do. You know, I don't know how to do anything else. You know, I could probably run a 7-Eleven or something. I could do that because that's sort of, you know, organising stuff, putting things on shelves. You know, I could do that. And so it's a 7-Eleven or directing films. It's about the position. Bernice is smashing. She was a real trooper. She was great, and she gave a certain amount of grace to the film too. I think, you know, and so did Phil Sayer, the lead guy, who's dead now, amazingly. But Bernice was an absolute honey. She was a real trooper. I mean, she really was. And Marianne was a sweetie too. I think it was her first film. Yeah, no, they were lovely people. They were lovely people. Mariam Darboe was stuck up there on a wall in this ridiculous cocoon thing, sitting for about 6 hours on a bicycle seat, which was stuck inside there. Poor thing, you know, it was just misery for her. She had to eat her lunch through it, you know, and oh, this poor girl. Poor Mariam. Well, my one lasting memory, there was this awful period, for people who don't know, there was this irritating phrase that was given to video horror films by the appalling British press. They called them video nasties, which has a kind of petty Englishness about it, which is really irritating. But anyway, this film was dubbed a video nasty. And there were all sorts of people screaming about how all these films should be censored and we can't have all this stuff going on. It's just disgusting, which was great for us. You know, it's exactly what we wanted to hear. You know, people rushed out in droves to see the film, of course, because, you know, there were people trying to ban it, you see, and people with dog collars on and rushing around with crucifixes and whatever they were doing. But I do remember, I don't remember much of that, but I do remember about a year or two after it had been in the theatres, because amazingly in those days films were in theatres, you know. This film had an extensive theatrical release. A couple of years after it came out on video, and I happened to be watching TV one evening. I was watching the news, and lo, there came on an item about some murdering lunatic who'd been caught in London. He'd been apprehended by the folks from Scotland Yard. And they said, oh, look at this, this is where the devil man lived, you know, decapitating women, this sort of Jeffrey Dahmer type guy. And it said, look at all these awful videos he's got in his house, oh God. And it showed this massive wall, like a video rental shop, right up to the ceiling, with videos all stacked in there, hundreds of these damn things. And the camera zoomed in slowly to the center of this library of videos, and there it was. Bang in the middle, you know. You can't do better than that. The evening 9 o'clock news, you know. Sales roared. I do just remember that we finished the film and we sent it off to New York, and they shoved it in a theatre in Times Square somewhere. But before doing so, Bob SHAYE of New Line apparently didn't like the ending we had.